We suffer from a hallucination, a false sense of our own existence as separate entities. Most of us spend our lives feeling like a lonely visitor coming into this world. We feel trapped behind our eyes, trying to master a universe that feels fundamentally outside of us. We build fortresses, we defend our boundaries, and we wonder why we are so exhausted. In this deep dive exploration of the book, On the Taboo Against Knowing Who You Are, we dismantle the myth of the skin-encapsulated ego. Most of us wake up feeling like a stranger in our own lives, a pilot trapped behind a face, desperately trying to navigate a world that feels fundamentally outside of us. We are obsessed with boundaries, yet we wonder why we feel so profoundly alone. Now let us explore the profound wisdom that lies not in adding, but in letting go. In the ordinary world of the modern human, there is a sensation so pervasive, so deeply ingrained in our nervous systems that we rarely think to question it. It is the feeling that I am a center of consciousness, a small, island-like entity residing somewhere between the ears and behind the eyes. We feel that we are a me that has a body, rather than a process that is the body. This is what Alan Watts called the skin-encapsulated ego. It is the persistent, nagging hallucination that you are a separate fragment of life, a lonely observer looking out at an alien universe. From the moment we are born into this particular culture, a silent conspiracy of social conditioning begins. We are taught to identify not with the biological process of the universe, but with a concept. We are given a name, a social security number, a history, and a role to play. We are told, this is you, and everything else is not you. We build a mental wall at the boundary of our skin, believing that everything inside the bag is alive and conscious, while everything outside, the air, the trees, the stars, is dead and other. This feeling of isolation is the root of our most profound anxieties. When you believe you are a separate entity, the world becomes a place of competition and threat. You feel like a fluke in the cosmos, a tiny spark of awareness that accidentally arrived on a cold, indifferent rock. You feel that you must conquer nature, master your environment, and protect your borders at all costs. This is the ordinary world of the modern hero, a state of perpetual defensive warfare against the rest of existence. We think of ourselves as the pilot of a biological machine. We speak as if we are separate from our organs, saying my heart or my brain, as if there were a ghostly I that owns these things. But if you look for this I, this pilot, where is it? If you peel back the layers of your thoughts, your memories, and your sensations, you find no permanent center. You find only a flowing stream of experiences. Yet we cling to the idea of the encapsulated self because it provides a sense of control, however illusory. The great taboo, as Watts described it, is the unspoken agreement to never realize our true identity. To the social order, the idea that you are not a separate ego is dangerous. A person who realizes they are the total process of the universe cannot be easily frightened, manipulated, or sold things they don't need. Society requires individuals who feel incomplete so that it can offer them completeness through consumption, status, and conformity. We are trained to be lonely egos so that we can be good citizens in a game of perpetual striving. Consider the metaphor of the island. When we look at an island in the ocean, we see a distinct piece of land surrounded by water. It looks completely separate. But if we were to drain the ocean, we would see that the island is actually the peak of a mountain connected to the very bottom of the seabed. It is the earth itself poking up through the water. The separation is only an illusion created by our limited perspective of the water level. We are exactly like those islands. Our skin is merely the water level of our perception. Beneath the surface, there is no place where you stop and the environment begins. You cannot exist for 3 minutes without the air. You cannot exist for 3 days without water. You are a continuous exchange of energy with the atmosphere, the sun, and the soil. The air is as much a part of your respiratory system as your lungs are. The sun is as much a part of your metabolic system as your stomach is. But because of the skin-encapsulated hallucination, we ignore the connection and obsess over the boundary. This leads to a profound sense of existential loneliness. We feel like we are coming into this world, like a visitor arriving at a hotel. But a visitor has no roots. A visitor can be evicted. This is why we fear death so much. We think the visitor is being kicked out of the universe. However, as Watts often reminded us, you didn't come into this world, you came out of it. You are a symptom of the universe, in the same way that an apple is a symptom of an apple tree. The universe peoples in the same way a forest trees. The struggle of the modern mind is the struggle to maintain this artificial insulation. We spend billions of dollars on security for our bodies, security for our bank accounts, security for our reputations. But the more we insulate ourselves, the more we feel the cold. The more we try to define exactly who I am, the more we feel the emptiness of that definition. A map is not the territory. Your name is not you. Your job title is not you. Your memories are not you. These are all just labels on the bag of skin. When we identify with the label rather than the contents, we suffer. We become obsessed with self-improvement, trying to polish the ego to make it more acceptable. We try to be good, to be successful, or to be spiritual. But all of this is just the ego trying to improve itself, a whirlpool trying to become a better whirlpool while ignoring the river that creates it. The call to adventure in this philosophical journey is the realization that the feeling of being a separate ego is a social fiction. It is a game we have agreed to play so well that we have forgotten it is a game. We are like actors who have become so lost in their roles that they believe they truly are the characters on stage. The philosophical first aid we need is not a way to fix the ego, but a way to see through it. The paradox is that the more you try to find yourself, the more you lose the world. But when you allow the world to be yourself, you find a peace that requires no effort. The hero must leave the fortress of the lonely ego and step out into the wilderness of reality, where the boundaries are wiggly and the I is not a noun, but a verb. We are currently living in a state of metaphysical schizophrenia. We think we are one thing, the ego, but we are actually another, the universe. This split causes the friction we call stress, the tension we call anxiety, and the void we call depression. We are trying to live a lie, and the universe is constantly trying to wake us up from it. Every time you feel a sense of awe at a sunset, every time you lose yourself in music, every time you feel a deep, wordless connection with another person, the wall of the ego thins. In those moments, you are not a person having an experience. You are the experience. The journey forward requires us to dismantle the skin-encapsulated myth. We must examine the taboo and ask ourselves, who am I really when the labels are gone? Who am I when I stop trying to be a pilot and realize I am the flight? The answer is not something you can find in a book. It is something you must feel in your bones. It is the transition from knowing about life to being life. Now we shall prepare to cross the threshold, leaving behind the safety of our definitions and entering the territory where the self and the other become one indivisible dance. We have crossed the threshold, leaving the familiar but suffocating fortress of the separate self. Now we enter the wilderness of reality, where the trials are not physical monsters, but the deconstruction of our most cherished illusions. The mentor, the voice of ancient wisdom channeled through Watts, points us toward a truth that feels like a betrayal to the ego, but a homecoming to the soul. The boundary of your skin is not a wall, it is a bridge. To understand the skin Skin-Encapsulated Ego, we must first understand how our perception has been narrowed. We live in a state of selective attention. Imagine a flashlight in a dark room. Whatever the beam touches is real, important, and distinct. The rest is background or nothing. Our culture has trained us to point the flashlight of our consciousness exclusively at the individual and the ego. We see the figure, but we have become totally blind to the ground. Think of a drawing of a white bird on a black background. If you focus only on the white, you see a bird. If you focus on the black, you see the sky. But in reality, you cannot have the bird without the sky. They are mutually dependent. They are co-arising. The line that defines the edge of the bird is the same line that defines the edge of the sky. This is what Watts meant by polarity. Self and other, subject and object, are like the two sides of a coin or the two poles of a magnet. You can try to saw a magnet in half to get only a north pole, but the moment you do, you have two smaller magnets, each with its own north and south. You can never have here without there. Yet our social conditioning forces us to pretend that the North Pole, the I, is independent of the South Pole, the world. We are taught to ignore the transaction. We are like people who believe that a buyer can exist without a seller, or that a mountain can exist without a valley. This isn't just a philosophical error, it is a biological hallucination. Consider the act of breathing, the most fundamental proof of our non-separation. We say, "I am breathing," as if it were a voluntary action like moving a chess piece. But you don't choose to breathe, in the same way you don't choose for your hair to grow or your heart to beat. It is something the universe is doing through you. Now ask yourself, at what point does the air become you? When it's an inch from your nose? When it enters your lungs? When it crosses into your bloodstream? In truth, the air is as much you as your red blood cells are. The atmosphere is an external lung. Without it, the internal lung is useless. You are not a thing that uses air. You are a process of air exchange. If we stop the exchange, the thing called the ego vanishes instantly. Therefore, your real self must include the air, the trees that produce it, and the sun that fuels the trees. Your biological boundary actually extends to the very edges of the solar system. Why then do we feel so small? Why do we feel like a ghost in the machine? Watts argued that this is largely due to the structure of our language. Our language is built on subject, verb, object. The wind blows, the lightning flashes, I think. This structure implies that there is a static thing, a noun, that performs an action, a verb. But is there really a wind that is separate from the blowing? Can you have a wind that isn't blowing? Of course not. The wind is the blowing. Similarly, there is no thinker behind the thought. There is simply a process of thinking. But because our language demands a subject, we invent an I to be the owner of the thoughts. We create a self as a linguistic placeholder, and then we mistake that placeholder for a living entity. We become the victims of our own grammar. We think we are the driver of the body, but driver is just a word we use to describe the body's self-navigating intelligence. This leads us to the trial of the illusion of control. The encapsulated ego desperately wants to believe it is in charge. It wants to manage life. But if you look closely, you realize that you don't know how you turn food into muscle. You don't know how you balance your hormones or how you create a sentence before you speak it. You, the ego, are just a spectator watching a magnificent, complex performance of nature. Watts often used the metaphor of the Big Bang to illustrate our true scale. Most of us think the Big Bang happened 14 billion years ago, and we are just the leftover dust at the end of the line. We feel like we arrived late to a party that is almost over. But this is like looking at a fire and saying the sparks at the edge are not the fire. You are not late to the universe. You are the Big Bang, still happening, right here, right now, in the form of a human being. The Big Bang didn't just happen back then. It is big banging as your very consciousness. When you realize this, the skin-encapsulated myth begins to crumble. You start to see that you are not a lonely inhabitant of a body, but the entire cosmic energy concentrated at a specific point in space and time. You are like a finger on a hand. The finger might feel like it is an individual, but it is actually an expression of the whole body. If the finger fights the other fingers, it only hurts itself. This brings us to the ecological crisis of the ego. Because we feel separate from nature, we treat the world as an object to be exploited. We speak of conquering space or mastering the wilderness. But as Watts warned, if you win the war against your environment, you destroy yourself. You cannot defeat the ocean and expect to keep being a wave. Our survival depends on realizing that we are not in the environment. We are the environment. A bird needs air to be a bird. The air and the bird are one system of flight. As the hero moves through this trial, they encounter a deep, shimmering desire for liberation. Imagine the relief of no longer having to uphold an identity. Imagine the peace of realizing that you don't have to protect your boundaries because the universe is not an outside force. It is your own larger body. When you stop identifying with the pilot and start identifying with the flight, the weight of the world drops off your shoulders. You begin to feel a sense of transactional reality. In biology, a transaction is an event that can only happen between two things, like a conversation or a marriage. Life is a transaction between the organism and its environment. You are not a thing that lives in a place. You are an opening through which the whole universe is currently living. This isn't just positive thinking. It is a fundamental shift in the sensation of being alive. It is the transition from being a helpless victim of life to being the total process of life. You realize that yourself is not a static object you found in the crib, but a dynamic, ever-changing pattern. Like a flame or a fountain, you stay the same only by constantly changing. The ego will resist this. It will scream, "But what about my problems? What about my death? What about my importance?" The mentor's answer is simple. The you who has problems is a fiction. The you who dies is a mask. Your importance is far greater than you imagined, not because you are a special ego, but because you are the infinite universe playing the part of you. We are moving toward the victory. We are preparing to return to our daily lives with a new pair of eyes. Eyes that see through the skin. Eyes that recognize the hidden connection in every leaf, every stranger, and every breath. We are learning to trade the skin-encapsulated prison for the universal playground. The desire for this freedom is the fuel that carries us through the final trials. We are beginning to see that the taboo against knowing who we are is nothing more than a social spell, and the spell is breaking. The hero's return is never a return to the same world they left. Although the streets, the buildings, and the faces remain the same, the eyes through which they are seen have been transformed. We return from the wilderness of the universal process back into the fortress of the ego, but now we see that the walls are made of paper. We have found the victory, the elixir of realization, that the skin-encapsulated ego was never a prison, but a useful social fiction that we simply took too seriously. The first realization of the returning hero is the end of the war with nature. When you no longer feel like a stranger coming into the world, you stop trying to conquer it. You realize that you cannot defeat your environment any more than your head can defeat your feet. To fight the world is to fight yourself. The first aid here is the immediate cessation of the struggle for survival as a grim, desperate necessity. Survival becomes a game, a magnificent, high-stakes game of energy, but the crushing weight of existential terror evaporates. You are the universe, and the universe cannot be destroyed. It only changes its clothes. This leads to a profound shift in how we handle our social identity. Watts didn't suggest that we should throw away our names, our bank accounts, or our personalities. He suggested we treat them like money. Money is a social fiction. You cannot eat a dollar bill, but it is a very useful symbol for the exchange of goods. The problem arises only when people mistake money for real wealth. Similarly, the I, the skin-encapsulated person, is a useful symbol. It allows us to coordinate, to communicate, and to play the complex social games of human culture. But the enlightened rascal knows that the I is just a convenient shorthand, a linguistic tool. You are not the shorthand. You are the living, breathing, pulsing energy that the shorthand is trying to describe. When you stop taking your self seriously, you become much more effective at being a person. You can play your role in society with more wit and grace because you are no longer terrified of failing. If the symbolic I fails, the real you remains untouched. Consider the relief of non-attachment. We spend our lives trying to improve the ego, to make it more spiritual, successful, or worthy. But who is doing the improving? It is the ego itself, like a hand trying to grab itself, or a tooth trying to bite itself. It is a double bind that leads to total exhaustion. The victory is the realization, I cannot improve me because they are the same ghost. When this is truly felt, a sudden stillness occurs. You stop trying to get somewhere spiritually. You stop trying to master your mind. You simply watch the mind as you would watch a waterfall or a parade of clouds. You realize that the thoughts are just the universe thinking at this particular location. The sensations are just the universe feeling. You are the opening through which the universe is experiencing this particular set of circumstances. This is the state of living without a pilot, and it is the most liberating experience a human being can have. This shift transforms our compassion. When you believe you are a skin-encapsulated ego, love is a transaction or a desperate attempt to bridge the gap between two lonely islands. You love someone because you need them to complete you, or you love them as a duty. But when the boundary of the skin is seen as a bridge, love becomes an overflow. You realize that the other is just a different version of yourself. They are the same Big Bang, looking through a different set of eyes. To hurt another is to hurt a different part of your own body. To help another is to help the total process that you are. This isn't altruism in the grim, moralistic sense. It is enlightened self-interest. You are kind to the world for the same reason you are kind to your own hands. This realization provides the only solid foundation for a sustainable human society and a healthy relationship with our planet. Now, for the action, the invitation to experience this for yourself. Do not take these words as a new set of beliefs. Philosophy is not a set of ideas to be held in the mind, it is a way of seeing. I invite you to conduct a simple skin boundary experiment. Sit quietly and close your eyes. Forget for a moment everything you have been told about yourself. Forget your name, your past, and your future. Now focus on your sense of touch. Feel the contact of your body with the chair or the floor. Where exactly is the border between your skin and the fabric? If you focus intensely, you will find that there is only a single sensation of pressure. You cannot tell where the skin ends and the chair begins unless you use a mental concept to label them. Now listen to the sounds around you. The traffic, a bird, the hum of a computer. Notice that the sounds are not out there. They are happening in your hearing. They are vibrations in your own consciousness. If you were not there to hear them, the sounds would be nothing but silent air, pressure waves. You are the event of the sound happening. In this state, the bag of skin begins to feel like a permeable membrane. You are not a solid thing in a hollow space. You are a field of awareness in which the entire world is arising. The inside and the outside are like the input and output of a single circuit. The victory is the ability to carry this feeling back into your daily life. When you are standing in a crowded subway or sitting in a stressful meeting, remember, this is the Big Bang still banging right here. These people are not others who are in your way. They are the universe peopling just as you are. The stress you feel is just the energy of the cosmos vibrating in this particular pattern. You no longer need to be a saint or a success. You are already the it. You are the which, then which. There is no whicher. This realization is the ultimate first aid for the modern mind. It doesn't solve your problems by making them disappear. It solves them by making the problem owner disappear. And when the owner is gone, the problems become merely situations, challenges to be played with, like a puzzle or a game of chess. We are often afraid that if we lose our ego, we will lose our drive, our creativity, or our morality. But the opposite is true. When you stop being a skin-encapsulated ego, you become a channel for the total intelligence of nature. You act with the spontaneity of a cat and the wisdom of a forest. You are no longer trying to be good. You are being the flow of life, which is inherently creative and self-balancing. Our journey concludes not with an end, but with a beginning. The taboo against knowing who you are is a spell that is broken the moment you look at it directly. You are not a visitor here. You are not a fluke. You are the whole works. Go forth now into the world of symbols, names, and roles. Wear your ego mask lightly. Use your I as a useful tool, but never again mistake it for your face. When the world tries to convince you that you are just a lonely, fragile fragment, remember the ocean and the wave. Remember the breath. Remember that you are the eyes through which the universe is finally beginning to see itself. The victory is not something you attain, it is something you recognize. You are the it. You have always been the it, and you will always be the it. Welcome home. The philosophy of the skin-encapsulated ego teaches us that our feeling of isolation is a cultural hallucination. By deconstructing the boundary between self and other, we find that we are not strangers in the universe, but the universe itself in a localized form. This realization provides the ultimate relief from anxiety, fostering a life of effortless action, deep compassion, and a playful engagement with the cosmic dance.